Welcome to Conversations from Stritch. Today is Thursday, February 5th. I'm Dr. David Livingston, president of Lewis University, and I'm joined by Dr. Christopher Sant, our provost. It's been a great week since we last saw you. Yesterday's community hour was full of things going on all across campus. The lecture by Josh Paul, Resigning in Protest, was full, as well as a presentation by Molly's Cupcakes owner, Dori Usufi. They had a great showing, that's on this kind of entrepreneurial side and trying to help our students to understand what it takes to start a business from scratch and then build it into something that has a national brand. Last night, we also had a recital by Carrie Johnson, a beautiful music on one of our really impressive pianos. You can see her there entertaining the crowd. So a great opportunity for people to get a little entrepreneurship and a little culture in the same day. Yesterday, I actually returned from a trip to DC in which I attended the annual National Association of Independent Colleges and Universities meeting, which not only includes information from staffers and people from the House as well as people from NICU about different legislative agendas, but also a full day and a half that I spent on the Hill meeting with our representatives, our senators, talking to their staffers about the kinds of things that are really impacting higher education and specific issues that are influencing Lewis University specifically. As we've talked about on this show before, the impact of visas on our international students has been challenging. Issues in terms of the crackdown on immigration that has scared many of our families. So those kind of things are things that we talk to legislators about. We also, and Chris and I both attended the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities meeting that was held just a few days before that. That is an opportunity to meet people from across the country that are involved in Catholic higher education. There's about 180 colleges and universities across the country. And to listen to speakers, we had an amazing Mass and sermon by the Cardinal from Washington, D.C. It was just a really uplifting and empowering week of information. So for me, getting back is also kind of a little bit jarring, but really good to be back on campus. But I come back with all sorts of ideas and new relationships and new possibilities. So we also have a bunch of stuff that's been happening on campus and some accolades that we want to make sure we give to some of our faculty and staff.
Yeah, hello everyone, good afternoon. Has been a great week. Yesterday was a really good version of Community Hour with two really big events going on at the same time that were full of with full audiences of students, faculty, and staff, as well as the bunch of other stuff that is typical of a Community Hour Mass and many other meetings. It was a really vibrant campus to be on yesterday. We have a few pieces of news here. The 2026 U.S. News and World Report rankings of the best online graduate programs came out recently, and it featured 6 of Lewis's fully online master's degree programs. The programs on the list include our online Masters in Criminal Justice, our online Masters in Information Technology, all of the online master's programs in the College of Business, including the MBA, and the best online Masters in Education list, as well as as it always is, the best online Masters in Nursing program. So congratulations to all of the faculty and staff who make those programs possible, and the faculty and staff in the Faculty Center who ensure the high quality online education is delivered from our Lewis programs. Chris Vincent, the CEO of CFA Society Chicago, recently visited the College of Business to participate in a fireside chat with finance and accounting students. That was just at the end of last week. The Chartered Financial Analyst designation is widely recognized as the premier credential for professionals in asset management, corporate finance, and investment banking. And Vincent offered students valuable insights into the skills and trends shaping today's financial industry. During the discussion, students asked great questions about employment trends, the growing role of artificial intelligence in financial markets, and strategies for standing out in a competitive job market. That meeting was held in the Durkin Financial Lab, by the way, so really a wonderful setting for that great visit. The Fountaindale Public Library District in Bolingbrook is displaying Lewis History Center's banner exhibit as part of its Black History Month 2026. The exhibit is called Reclaiming the Narrative, Restoring Black Voices to the Story of Joliet, and it is on display through February 28th, celebrating Black History Month and exploring local history. A little bit about that. African Americans were calling the Joliet region home before it was incorporated in 1852, and they built up the community, found jobs, and enjoyed life in the Des Plaines River Valley. Despite this long history, the Black community has often been on the periphery of historical narratives, and to broaden the scope of history, this exhibit highlights 4 African American organizations that contribute to the region's diversity. And it's just I really appreciate the History Center for producing that and really sharing it with several different communities now over the last couple of years. So we also appreciate Bolingbrook for displaying it this month. On February 11th, Dr. Kelly Carter Jackson will lead a conversation about racial justice and historical resilience at 12:30 in the University Dining Room. Dr. Carter Jackson is a nationally recognized author and historian on Black resistance. This is a part of the 2nd annual Lewis University Black History Month Scholar Conversation, and attendees will have the opportunity to buy the book and discuss it. I know we were talking before we went on, many people are doing that. There's a book group meeting tonight, and many have already happened as the event gets closer and closer. And again, the book is We Refuse, A Forceful History of Black Resistance. And there's an opportunity at the event to meet Dr. Carter Jackson in an exclusive book signing. So you can still go to the event if you're not registered yet, but please register before you go. So that's one event that's happening next week, but you're going to share several others that are on the docket.
Several events. This will be on the list of events that are up there. I think I mentioned to you that I'm a little over halfway through the book now. I'll get it done by next week. I haven't been able to attend any of the book discussions, but appreciate that people around campus are reading it. So today, every day for the next week is very busy. Today we have 10 tips in 10 minutes. This is a little help over in the Darcy Great Room for people who are interested in going on interviews. So it's done by the Career Center. Get some tips on how to prepare yourself for interviews, probably what to wear, how to engage. I know that I've been reading in the news and certainly hearing from people on campus that the job market is a little more challenging. So getting all those tips, how to do it best is good. As you can see on here, there's also a dinner with the brothers tonight over at Embers. So that's off campus over in Lockport. As Chris mentioned, there's the reading group tonight and bingo tonight. Tomorrow, Accessibility Club is meeting and the Juma prayer will be happening at 1. And as we get into Saturday, there's a bunch of events going on as well. LaSallian Scholarship Program. For those of you that don't know, you'll see if you're walking around campus, many of high school seniors who are kind of applying for the LaSallian Scholarship. So that's an exciting opportunity. Men's lacrosse is playing Walsh on campus, and they're having their post-game in the Flyers Den, much smarter than having the tailgate in the parking lot. So wise of them, since this weekend it's going to be a little chilly out there. Massive course. And then the Super Bowl watch party starting at 5:30 over in the Student Center. I really don't have a team in the race, so I don't really care who wins this year. Monday, we have some a Valentine night, do-it-yourself kind of night if you want to prepare some stuff for your Valentine. Alpha Psi Lambda paint night. And then Tuesday, There's a Friend Fest that is being held by the student government, as well as a film screening of Arrival. We've talked about it on this show many times, but I think it's really valuable now that we have a place where we can watch films in a really comfortable space with high fidelity sound and visuals. So come and see that. And then next Wednesday, we got 2 slides on next Wednesday because there's so much going on. So you can see the community hour, a lot of stuff happening for community hour next week. And in addition to the community hour, there's a Bloom Bar, there's the Jet Fuel Review Bake Sale. There's just a lot of stuff going on Wednesday afternoon. And then as we move into the afternoon, as we said, we're going to have Dr. Kelly Jackson Carter, who's going to do, a lot of people have been reading the book. She'll be doing the signing and a conversation about that, as well as a Valentine's Day event for the 14th coming up. And the Art Club's got a couple events. So lots going on next week, lots to look forward to. We do have some athletics that are traveling, so I just want to mention that. Basketball will travel to Lincoln. Men's and women's track will compete in the Fairgrounds Invitational in Indianapolis. Stunt, we're excited to have Stunt up and doing their thing. They're going to be over at St. Mary's. And then men's and women's swimming will be at the GLVC Conference Championships that are happening in Evansville. So lots going on in terms of athletics as well. So again, nobody should complain that there's nothing to do. We're really pushing things into these weeks before we move into spring break and get to the kind of halfway point. And then I always feel like after we come back from spring break and we're into that kind of week 9, 10, 11 of the semester, it's just totally insane. I mean, there's so much going on. Mm-hmm. So these will get even longer, I think, as we go forward. But Chris, you're going to introduce us to our guests, and really great. We always have great topics, but I'm really excited about this one because it's something I'm fascinated by.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. Really excited about all the events you just mentioned. I know I feel like we talk about it a lot more than we should maybe, but I'm so excited about the Stunt program starting. And I think it's next weekend. I think it may be even on Valentine's Day if that's on a Saturday or Sunday. We're going to host our first Stunt competition. So we'll talk about that next week. I'm really excited about it. I also really appreciate the show after 6 years. This show is how I find out about Valentine's Day and when it's happening.
It's happening.
I feel like every
Lee
year.
Gets something every year now but 7 years ago she didn't get anything. She just forgot about it. Like 2 weeks later, he's like, here you go.
I have a few days advance notice thanks to preparing for this show. It's amazing how our community is so geared around that with all of our, especially our student activities. It's really cool. So yeah, it's a great topic today. Just a little bit about the topic to introduce it. So in response to the really transformative impact that we all know artificial intelligence is having on higher education and the entire workforce across the country and across the world, Lewis has convened 3 interlocking working groups together comprising what we call the Artificial Intelligence Task Force to guide our institutional planning and response to all of the issues regarding artificial intelligence and all of the opportunities that it's creating. Each working group aligns with our Catholic and Thessalian mission, emphasizing ethical innovation, human dignity, and inclusive access. And those 3 focus areas are, there's one group focused on business processes, one group focused on pedagogy and teaching, and the third group focused on academic programming. And I think even they are broken up into smaller groups in some cases because there's so many different dimensions to this topic. So today we have 2 members from the Artificial Intelligence Task Force, Safwan Omari, who serves as on the Pedagogy and Teaching Task Force, and Samantha Ivetic, who serves on the Academic Programming Task Force. And I'm going to introduce each of them now, and we'll get talking. So Samantha Ivetic began Lewis University in 2018 in the Faculty Center for the Advancement of Teaching and Learning, where she trained and supported hundreds of Lewis professors in online teaching and pedagogy, and had a large portfolio of educational technologies. Since 2023, she has been the Assistant Dean for the College of Humanities, Fine Arts, and Communications, where she continues to work with faculty and students through academic operations and support for the college. She also serves on this task force. Safwan Omari is a professor of computer science and the associate dean of the College of Aviation, Science, and Technology. His research interests include cybersecurity, software quality, and applications of large language models in software engineering. Besides his career in academia, Dr. Omari stays active in the industry where he works on the development of software systems and provides consulting for technology startups. So before we start talking, just a reminder that you can email a question. I know this is a really great topic that a lot of people are interested in and have opinions about. We'd love to get those questions and ideas into the conversation. So please email a question to askus@louisu.edu, and we will work that question into the conversation. Also, if you're watching this after the live recording on YouTube, feel free to use the same email address, and we will address the question. Either we'll send it to one of our guests or whoever is the appropriate person to respond. All right, so Sam and Safwan, welcome. Wonderful to be with you.
Thanks for joining us.
Like I was just thinking, reading those great biographies. I know you're here because you specifically represent the task force and the subgroup of the task force, but you're both extremely knowledgeable and experienced way beyond that. Those groups in terms of what your work is and what your history is working with artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies that are related to it. So please feel free to chime in on any topic that we bring up. We do want the community to know a little bit about the task force to begin with, though, so maybe we can begin with you, Safwan, and tell us a little bit about the teaching and pedagogy working group.
Sure, yeah. So, we are a small group of faculty members. We have a representation from all the colleges. So we kind of, we're trying to basically, debate, brainstorm ideas and things. Basically, how do we respond to, what is happening in terms of AI, and how do we kind of serve our students in the best possible ways, given what is happening out there. When ChatGPT came out, a couple of years ago, it kind of, took everybody by surprise, right? Kind of, everybody was kind of, scratching their heads, basically, what is happening. One of the first things that kind of we struggled with as educators is basically students who started to misuse the technology, and trying to basically work around doing their assignments and things like that, right? So, and then kind of, educators basically all of a sudden overnight, we looked at our assignments, assessments, and, it feels like all of it is just basically broken overnight, right? Kind of,
Right. So can I just pause you there to say, so that's a concern. Maybe you could talk a little bit about maybe the top 2 concerns that you hear from faculty that this group hears, and maybe the top 2 hopes.
Yes.
Because I think there's 2 sides to this, right? There's like things that people are like, oh, this is really frustrating, scary, concerning. Sure. And then there's this, here's what's possible.
Exactly.
So could you talk about maybe both sides, especially what you're hearing in the task force, because I'm sure you're hearing from every college, what are their concerns and hopes?
Exactly. Obviously misuse is one of the biggest concerns that we have, and then this is the first thing that hits us, right? And then people started kind of wrapping their heads around the technology, and they started to basically figure out, there are some positive sides, there are some good things. Students kind of became a little bit more efficient in their learning. They start using the technology to create exercise questions, to create more content that would help them with learning the material, creating exam quizzes. And on the flip side, faculty started to basically say, I have a very powerful tool, right? Maybe I can use it to create, better content, right? Maybe I can, customize the learning experience for the students a little bit more, right? Even like later on came in things like I can create more audio recordings for the students, right? So kind of, it does kind of evolve the learning experience. It provides an opportunity for a student to become a better and more effective, efficient learner, and on the other side, basically, faculty to become more, effective, more productive educators.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sam, maybe you could tell us about your kind of subcommittee of the task force, and where do you see? Because I think your part of it is this may change the kinds of programs we need to offer, right?
Exactly, yeah. So our task stream for the task force is programming, and that means looking at data and research to find new programs that Lewis can offer to be competitive in the marketplace and also make our graduates competitive in the marketplace. And then also developing learning objectives, which the entire university can use to embed in their programs. So yeah, it's a really exciting stream of the task force.
I just was thinking, I forgot to say in the introduction that we're in the middle of this work with the task
we're
force.
not done with it
So
by
we're
any
not going to
stretch,
ask like, what are you the recommendations are going to come out at the end of the semester, and we all know that this conversation is going to go on for years. And one of the recommendations that the task force will need to do is tell us what to do next. And it definitely won't be over, but I hope there will be some specific recommendations from both groups or all the groups. Maybe now I'll ask Sam to comment on some, the pedagogy, just because of your background in the faculty center. Do you want to add anything to that question about
I think
challenges and opportunities that you see, or even just watching it and working with faculty? What do you see?
Yeah, I think it's an incredible time to be a teacher, as Safwan mentioned. And the power of technology just keeps growing, and in my own classes, I found that some of the learning objectives that we're like uncovering in the research for our recommendations is really important that students have foundational knowledge. So making sure that like in the classroom that we use AI as a tutor and as maybe a collaborator and not as a summarizer, right? We don't want to offload our critical thinking skills to the technology. So it's a great summary of what they're doing, and I love watching the outputs from that part of the task stream and playing with new technologies. Our systems are always updating.
So I guess maybe the two of you're both in the technology field. One of your actual research areas, Safwan, is large language models. I feel like you're saying like it struck us, I think you mean us collectively as a faculty, by surprise when but it didn't strike people in the field, because artificial intelligence, large language models, people have been doing a lot of research on it. It had been there, but not in a kind of, I guess what I would say, in a product-based way, where it can go out to, 7 billion people. I'm interested a little bit in kind of how you compare this technology to other technologies, right? So we've had these other technologies that have come forward. I think I always use the example of a TI-35 and not being able to use it on exams when I was a little kid. But more recently, things like spell check, there were people who said nobody will ever know how to spell anymore, right? Because you type your paper, it highlights it with red, you go back, you fix it, or you just click on it and it fixes it for you, right? Yeah. So tell me about, is this tool, is it qualitatively different as a tool? Or is it kind of like these other tools? I'm interested, I don't know, there's lots of answers to this. So, you don't have to pretend that you have like the answer. I think it's just interesting for our audience to hear kind of more like other tools or so radically different than other tools. Where do you fall in that spectrum? Because I read articles of people that say both.
And I would say maybe even defining it as a tool is a
step.
Is like a condition of the question, right?
Right.
As a tool in the classroom limits the question, but maybe it makes it.
Yes. I mean, obviously, most of the technologies that we have in the past kind of focus is, automation or automating certain aspects of, of our life, right? And this one in particular, we are kind of, automating the thinking process, which is kind of, no, I mean, just 10 years ago, nobody believed that this is possible, it's basically these language models. I mean, it feels like and it sounds like they can think, right? They can reason, they can think. Basically, you give it a certain question, and then basically it starts to work through it. And sometimes it discovers, I did a mistake, let me recover, right? And so it's definitely kind of we are, or these tools or basically these systems kind of, automating to some sense, right? The thought process, which is, something scary, something we've never seen before. One of the kind of, comments I heard from some top industry experts basically saying that, in a few years, right, you're going to have a PhD physicist, a PhD mathematician, a PhD computer scientist in your pocket, right? And then the scary thing is, what do you do with them, right? So we're not used to that, right? I mean,
Right.
So I feel eventually it is going to help humanity kind of evolve in terms of the things that they can do, right? So my argument usually is, if I give you a tool like Excel, right, you can do certain things with it, right? But if I give you a PhD in mathematician, the bar is way higher. That means your critical thinking, the things that you can solve, is definitely going to be way, way higher. So I feel eventually it is going to make people smarter.
Interesting.
Sam, any thoughts? And you don't have to. We don't all have to agree because there's a lot of debate on this. So, but any thoughts on kind of tool, really big change tool, which I think you're saying, Safwan, like that's a big deal because. And I want to get back because I have a follow-up question on that, but I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's like the printing press, right? I think it's a game changer for how we communicate, how we believe, how we talk about ethics, how we talk about what it means to be human.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's creating really important questions like authenticity, these bigger ideas that are a lot deeper than, thinking about a tool and how interesting it can make a mundane task.
Right. And I think the authenticity question, the deep fakes are becoming more and more sophisticated because AI can iterate on them, right?
Yeah.
I've seen some recently that are, it's
Yeah.
impressive what they can, and how distorting of reality. So the judgment of how do I know whether this is authentic or not is going to become harder and harder to do. And I guess I just want to go back and then I'll let Chris, you can jump in. But Safwan, the way you worded it was you're going to have a PhD physicist in your pocket, which for me kind of anthropomorphizes it. Like it makes this tool into a thinking, a critically thinking, is, and do you intend it that way? Like, it's not just a tool that's as smart as,
Yeah. It's not all of physics, it's a physicist.
Right, it's an actual physicist that I can interact with.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying, that people are saying 2 years from now, that's what you're going to have in your pocket.
Exactly. Kind of, you're gonna have those specialized AI models, foundation models that are gonna be kind of geared towards certain knowledge areas. And I mean, we are already seeing, certain models and certain language models basically able to solve, PhD level mathematical problems. So
Sure.
yeah, so I mean, it's happening little by little, and again, I mean, this is where I feel like it's going to create a lot more pressure on humans, right?
Yes.
So you need to come up with something different.
I was just thinking before that, in my very limited experience of just using it as a person and as a, somewhat as a professional, I feel like the difference in my experience is not the knowledge, although that's certainly huge. It's it's like the back and forth part of it. And I responded to what you said, Sam, about how it's useful in the classroom as a tutor. It feels like that's like fundamentally different, that it's something that has a conversation back and forth with you without a lot of you know, it's different than like a Google search in that way, that seems much more static and has no memory and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really powerful. I guess maybe can we just talk a little bit more about the classroom or the changes in teaching or what happens in the classroom in the most like fundamental basic ways. And I know we don't know yet, but it feels like what you're both saying is that it's a little bit of a reversal of what, or the really hard thing for professors is that many of the techniques that we've all been using for decades are difficult to use alongside an AI support system without it just doing the work for the students or whatever, because a lot of the ways we ask for them to think and do work are easily replicated by these systems. So it's forcing professors to do things differently. And I just wonder if each of you can reflect on like 2, 3, 5 years from now, like how, like could you just describe like a particular course, this is what you used to do during that 50-minute period, and this is what we will be doing 5 years from now with that same 50-minute period.
Yeah, so I mean, I like to go back to the individualization or personalization of learning experiences, right? So I mean, so one of the, as educators, kind of one of the things that we usually struggle with is, you know, finding the right pace for your course, right? So you have a wide range of students, right? Yeah. You have the 30, 40 students. Some of them are struggling and find the course challenging. On the other side, basically, you have students who are kind of, you know, finding the course boring, right? And kind of, you know, it's like there's only one of you, right? So basically, you can, you know, create, you know, one lecture slides. You can create one type of assignments, projects. And it's hard to keep everybody kind of motivated, right? And feeling challenged, right? And this is where I feel like there is AI is actually presenting an opportunity, because all of a sudden you have, you know, as many, I mean, I can say it like teaching assistants as you like, right? You can ask AI to basically say, okay, I have this group of students, right? And then I want you to basically look at their background. You could even basically input their previous exams, you know, scores, all of this, right? And say, this is my objective for the course, right? I want you to, for example, generate assignments or readings specific to this group, right? Somebody who has some deficiency in calculus, right? So I want you to expand a little bit on, you know, calculus as a prerequisite, right? So, I mean, AI, with the power that it actually provides, allows you to create kind of customized or personalized learning experiences for the students, right? And then basically you say, okay, so this is for you, this is for you, and then you keep everybody kind of engaged, everybody kind of challenged, at the same time, maybe not frustrated.
So can I just, you know, one of the things that I always, you know, I'm the president of a university, so this is going to sound bad. But one of the things that frustrates me about education in general is that part of what we do, society wants us to do this, but part of what we do is this sorting hat routine, right? Which means we take these people that come in, we accept them all, and they start with a blank slate, and then we start giving them a GPA. And they're sorted into C hats, B hats, A hats, right, by the time they're done. And in every class, we do that as well. We assess them and we say, you're an A student, you're a B student, you're a C student. For me personally, it's offensive. It is the world I swim in, but it is offensive because, and I want to ask either of you, both of you, all three of you, the possibility of changing the pace of learning for students, as well as having it be truly outcomes based. So everybody gets an A, period, stop, full stop, because we will work with you until you learn calculus. Not we will sort, you have 15 weeks to learn it. Some of you are going to learn at this pace, some of you are going to learn at that pace. I got to put my lecture, because as we all know who have taught, all of us have taught, I could design a course in which everybody failed.
Of course.
It's not hard to do.
Okay.
Right? Because you can make a course such that, you know, you just make it so hard, the assessment so hard that no, or you can make a class in which everybody gets an A.
Yes.
Right? And that means you're not designing the course well and you're not meeting your students where they kind of come into the course. But it sounds like what you're saying is it will be possible in the future to have 30 students come in, and I have certain outcomes, and I can give each one of them individually the assignments that will get them to that point. Now, of course, they still have to take it, and we may still have to judge them as to whether they're going to take advantage of that opportunity. But it feels different in terms of what you're saying and the possibilities.
I would say it's extremely exciting and different, and also what LaSallians have been doing for 300 years.
Yeah.
It's meeting students where they are. It just provides this opportunity to do it with much more exacting data that actually tells us what an individual student needs in a specific way for a specific course, and then gives them a unique learning experience that brings them up to that passing level or that A level or whatever we want to call that at their own pace. But you were saying you were putting that in a bigger context of different techniques as well as that, but that's one way it's going to be different.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Kind of, yeah. That's kind of just one way. I mean, people are kind of becoming more innovative, figuring out ways to improve, their education, and also students are actually becoming kind of better at using the tools.
And Sam, you have done a lot of work, in both contexts, but in your previous role at the university, some of what you did was online pedagogy, course shells, preparing that. It feels like online learning will change also in a significant way because, again, each learner, in an online setting, you're not in the classroom in the same way with these 30 people and I got 50 minutes, especially asynchronous learning. So how do you think, how does AI or large language models or the stuff that Safwan's talking about where it can approach a student and look at their whole background and then say, what you need to learn next is this, and then you're going to have to learn this. Tell me about that, like course shell design and that kind of stuff.
Sure. So, and I have a good juxtaposition. I teach in communications and critical thinking, and in the College of Business, I teach a special communications and collaboration critical thinking class, and I've drastically changed it since the dawn of AI, where I'm able to create unique case studies for the students based on the topic. Even though my business is higher education, I can create case studies for environmental PR teams, right? Things that would never be in my wheelhouse to create for students, so that when you have 5 groups presenting, which is very much hard to have AI present for you, so I am lucky in that way.
Yeah, that is a good
Right?
AI-proof
It is very AI-proof to have students present. And so in response to the online learning, I do teach online, and I love teaching online. And people who take classes with me online, I would say, end up saying, well, it is like I'm with Sam in her office once a week, because part of that engagement in online learning is being present, and so I make a lot of videos once a week minimum.
Right.
I've changed my writing assignments in the online classes to require students to incorporate real human experiences. So as you know, Louis, we are allowed to decide if we're going to use AI in our class or not. So in my class, I do have an AI policy that I let the students create with me if it's in person. And then for online, I have a pretty standard one with some kind of humorous bits in there that you're humans, you will save the world. So use your human experiences, and taking that requirement of the written prompts and putting that in the rubric to hold them accountable for incorporating that and then citing their sources. So synthesizing information still remains really, really important.
I'll leave this for after the show.
Okay,
I had another question, but let's go on.
We need to switch gears a little bit because of time, and we had a question come in that perfectly sets us up for what we haven't really talked about enough yet, which is what is Louis doing in terms of learning to prepare students for the workforce and for new jobs out there. So I guess I'll just say out loud that we have a master's degree in artificial intelligence. We're launching a bachelor's degree in artificial intelligence. It's your department who's doing that. I just want to maybe stipulate that those are great degrees for people to do for the future, especially if you're interested in working in those fields of developing AI. But maybe, and you can maybe add on in a second if you want to that, how those are valuable. But I think the question is more broad than that. So I'm wondering if Sam, you could first start to talk about what the task force has talked a little bit about in terms of what does it actually mean to say we are preparing students to go out, of all majors or however you want to do it, to go into the workforce prepared.
Absolutely. So while the BS and MS and AI are really for specialists in AI, all of our students need to be literate in AI, be able to use it for productivity as a enhanced research assistant potentially,
Right.
and then that AI literacy that comes from the foundational knowledge that no matter what program they've had, to be able to distinguish when it's appropriate to use AI, as well as when it's ethical to use AI.
So I'm getting
So-
ahead of, or Nita, you go
Well,
ahead.
no, I was
please.
just going to say, so that, and I think it's really valuable to use literacy. Like we've used literacy in other
Yeah.
areas as we've changed over the last 30 years I've been in education. There's different kind of literacies that have come along. So now AI literacy, if that becomes a general education kind of outcome over the next, let's call it
Yeah.
over the next 5 years,
Yeah.
so that nobody from Lewis graduates without being AI literate. And that may change because the technology is going to change. And it changes by field because being AI literate as a nurse is different than being AI literate as an accountant. What is your sense of how much we as faculty and staff who are working with students need to change, that we need to become AI literate? Right? I mean, that is, can they do it on their own? I guess there's two different ways, right? I could become AI literate. We could just say to people, you need to be AI literate before you leave, and that's up to you, right? Or we can say, every course is going to assess levels of AI literacy as you move through so that by the time you're a senior and you're graduating, we know you're AI literate. So give me a sense of, because one, we don't have to change ourselves at all, right? Faculty can keep doing what they're doing. Another, we got to become AI literate so we can help them become AI literate.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a good mix though,
Yeah.
between, I think there's some disciplines where AI is like really critical for our professors to be on top of because of industry standards, whereas, other disciplines need to rely on that foundational knowledge, right? So it's not there at that level. So maybe not every class. And in our major classes and practicums and internships, our professors and instructors and students are already using the AI tools that are available to them. So yeah, I think it doesn't have to be everything.
Sure.
It already is. It already is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things kind of, I find very fascinating is, so writing software, right? So, I mean, programming. I mean, it's usually programming is kind of, pretty much dedicated to the professionals, right? Professionals can write code, and very few people actually can do it well, right? So there is now with AI coding agents and these kind of tools, all of a sudden there is this concept of the citizen developer, right? Which is basically, it's a fascinating kind of phenomena, right? Basically saying that you don't...
Fascinating is a nice euphemism. Someone who's been doing it professionally his whole life.
Yes.
I'm a poet, so I understand what it's like to have people do the thing that you have done professionally
Yes.
as a hobby.
But I mean, there are all sorts of platforms, all sorts of AI tools that is basically saying we're gonna kind of lower the barrier to basically coding, right?
Right.
You don't need to be a professional computer scientist to basically write code, and it's actually improving by the day. So basically, in that sense, writing code or writing software, right, is becoming one of the tools that everybody needs to have under his belt, right? So in your function, whatever that function is, you are probably the most person who knows about the problems that you have, right? And then all of a sudden, solving a problem with writing a tool, a software tool, is not out of reach for you anymore.
Right. So what I find fascinating about that is, I want to go back to kind of literacy and then expertise. So to that point, if everyone could be a good coder, even if they're an accountant, and some people graduate as accountants, but they're also good coders because they know how to use AI well, and somebody else doesn't, they're literate, but they're not, they haven't gone that far. Will they get hired more likely by an accounting firm if they're able to use this tool? You know, I want to go back to tools. If I can use 5 tools and
Right.
somebody else can use 1, when I go into the interview, do they say, well, how much have you done coding? I mean, I know you're not a coder, but have you used AI to
Yeah,
do coding?
yeah.
Does that distinguish me somehow
Of course.
from other people who are also interviewing?
Of course, yeah. I mean, and I kind of hear in one of the reports, they're basically saying they're going to be 4 citizen developers for every 1 professional. So it's going to be
That's a lot, yeah.
large scale. And, you know, I mean, you can, it's already happening. This is not future. So
Yeah.
some of the tools you could literally go in there, you know, with a few prompts, and then all of a sudden you have a fully functional tool, right? And, you know, the people who can do this obviously are going to be, you know, the
Valuable
innovators.
to
Of
corporations.
course, yeah.
Just maybe we have to stop soon, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
just want to make one comment about that, which is that Lewis is, we certainly will end this process this year and beyond with learning outcomes related to that kind of proficiency, competency, ability for all of our graduates. One great thing that we have is we have both many instructors, professors who are currently working in the field that they're teaching in, so they will be able to bring to the classroom, oh, this is how we're using AI in my accountant, you know, my accountancy firm, or in my, you know, marketing firm, or whatever it might be. And I think it's a great thing about Lewis is that we have so many professors of practice and adjunct faculty who are actively working. So that will be really helpful for students, as well as we, you know, most of our majors and graduate programs have advisory boards who, you know, speak to us about what they think the curriculum should be, or what students need to learn in order to be successful in those fields. And I really hope we double down on that, or, you know, this is a good reason to double down on that. It's always been useful, but I think, you know, we really need to listen. We know there's other things that we're concerned about around what students should be learning and their basic knowledge and their critical thinking skills, and all of that we'll continue to do, and our faculty care deeply about that. But I think that back and forth with the professions and the pathways that our students are taking is really important to us. And I think this is actually a silver lining of all this, is that it's really improving that communication.
Yeah. So we do have to wrap up. Any last comments from either of you?
Yeah, thanks
you
for
want to
having
make?
us
We
on.
should have asked you something. Or?
No.
All right. So
Too
let me wrap up, and I'm going to say just one. So, as a liberal arts place, as a place that cares, what Chris was just saying about, you know, creative thinking, critical thinking, my take on this, for what it's worth, is that we're going to have to double down on humanness. So what algorithms can do, algorithms will do better than humans, because we're not algorithms. What humans can do, humans will do better than algorithms can do. And so I think our liberal arts, you know, reading Shakespeare, understanding Freud, et cetera, understanding history and what happened in the Second World War and what happened with the Ottoman Empire, and all of those things are going to be incredibly crucial in the future. And so I think the liberal arts will actually become more important than they have been in the future in higher education, which excites me as somebody who teaches in that area. Anyway, we unfortunately have to go, but we will probably have another show on this in the not too distant future. So many blessings to you and all those that you love. Have a great weekend.